Okay, so we are back with our series 2025 APCSA FRQ problems, where we are looking at question 3, part B. If you haven't checked out the other ones, so make sure you go back and check those out. Excuse me. Okay, let's dive into question 3, part B. So this one, we're going to be writing the build matches method for the round class. So this method is going to actually return an array list of matches. So matches is our one of the classes that they gave us up above. And we're going to be pairing competitors from the competitor list according to a few specific rules. So if the number of competitors is even, then we're going to match the best ranked with the worst ranked, the second best ranked with the second worst ranked, and so on and so forth. If the number of competitors is odd, then we're going to ignore the best rank and then pair them according to the first set of rules, where we match the best competitor with the worst competitor, second best, second worst, etc. Now, each pair of competitors is going to be used to create a match object, right? So match has a constructor that takes in two competitors, and it's going to be added to the array list to return. So it says that the competitors can appear in any order in the match object, and matches may appear in any order in the returned array list as well. And it gives us an example. So the competitor list is what we created in part A. So this is going to be an example of the competitor list. Notice that it does have an odd number. So according to the rules, we're going to ignore the best ranked, which is Alex, and we're going to pair Ben and Kara together. And this is going to give us this here as our array list that contains a single match that are going to be both of these competitors. The next example is going to be an example where we have an even number, right? We're going to be pairing Ray with Tim because we have the best ranked with the worst ranked, and Sam with V or Vid, where we have the second best, second worst. And then we are going to have two matches in our array list that we're going to return back. So let's take a look at what that code looks like and let's talk about it. Okay, so here I've gone ahead and created just essentially the stub up above for the build matches and a few notes for myself based off of the problem. So our goal, we're going to pair people in competitor list according to the rules. So if we have an even pair, we're going to pair the best ranked with the worst ranked, second best with the second worst, and so on. If we are odd, however, we're going to skip the best ranked and then pair just like we did before. Now, conveniently, our competitor list is ordered from best to worst. What that means is that it would look something like this, where 1, which is the best ranked, is going to be at the beginning, and 5, which is the worst ranked, is going to be at the end. So effectively what we are doing is pairing the beginning with the end, then we are moving inwards and pairing the second one with the second to the last until we get to the middle. But because it says that we're only going to do evens, then we never have to worry about the case where we have one left over. So that's the nice thing about this, making our lives a little bit easier. So the first thing that we can go ahead and do right off the bat is actually just declare the thing that we're going to actually be writing. So I've already actually done that here. Let's move it down just so we can make sure that we are following along. So here I have gone ahead and declared a variable called matches, which will be an array list containing the type or that class match that was created up above. So the next thing that I will go ahead and do, I will create variables that will represent the starting and the ending. So start, I will basically just declare that because based off of the rules, right, we're going to decide what that value is. And then the ending index will always be essentially the last element. So in order to get this, we can grab competitor list. So this is our instance variable. We can grab the size of that and we subtract 1. That way we can make sure that we are within bounds. So if we have 5 elements, this will give us the 4th index, which will be the last index in that array list. So now we can decide what the start value is. So based off of the conditions, the start value will either be the 0 element, which will be the beginning, or the 1 index, which will basically skip the first one and start at the second element. So based off of the conditions. So in this case, right, the first condition, if the competitor list, right, is essentially even. So if it's even, we can decide if it's even by taking the modulus of 2 of the size and checking if it's equal to 0. If this is the case, then we know that the size of competitor list has an even amount, and we're just going to start at the beginning, right? If it is not even, that must mean that it is odd, and we're going to skip the beginning and start the index out at 1. So that's going to basically start us out at the second one here. So now we have our starting index and an ending index, and we can actually use this to now iterate through and do our matches, right? So you can do this a few different ways. I'm going to actually opt to do a while loop because it'll make explaining it a little bit easier. So here I have a while loop. I'm going to continue to loop while start is less than end. The reason for this is because we basically have two different pointers, one index referencing the beginning and one referencing the end. And I'm going to just move them inwards, right, slowly until they meet each other. So once, because we have an even amount, once we reach the point where end is actually less than start, that would mean that we've checked all of our elements, right? And we are now basically, we've crossed that threshold, because in this case, we're just moving it inwards. Once we've checked all the elements, then start will actually be greater than end at that point, and we want to make sure that we stop. Okay, so same thing, similar to how I did before. I'm going to create a variable that's going to store the matches appropriately. So I'm going to call the new match here. That's going to take in two parameters, and they're both going to be competitors. I'm going to grab the values or the competitors, right? So using the get method, I'm going to grab the first one, which is going to be the start. And then I'm going to grab the second one, which is going to be the index, right? Or sorry, the ending index. So in this case, end. So I grab start and I grab end. And this is going to actually give me the match object that I'm going to insert into my array list, right? So now we have our match. We have passed in each competitor, and we have added that into our list. The next thing that we have to do is make sure that now we essentially have added 1 and 5 together. Or sorry, assuming that it's even, right? We've added 2 and 5 together. We need to now add 3 and 4. The way that we can do that, we can increment the beginning one, and we can decrement the ending one. So now we have essentially moved inwards, and now our start is going to be pointing at 3. Our ending is going to be pointing at 4. We're going to do this again, add it to our list. And the next time our start is going to be at 4 and our ending is going to be at 3. That would be the case where ending is going to actually be less than start, and we're going to end our loop, meaning that we've checked all of the elements. So the final step, we can simply return that array list, and this is going to actually conclude and complete our build matches method. So this is going to be all of how we do question 3. You'll notice that we just have to kind of take it step by step and do piece by piece. So breaking it down into smaller pieces, making it a little easier for us to understand. So let me know down in the comments if you got this one correct, or maybe even if you did yours a little bit differently. I'm expecting a lot of people probably did this section differently. You may have used a for loop, you may have used something else. So let me know, and I will see you in the next video where we'll be going over the last question